Hey everyone, Regal Reviews here. Finally, it's time for my Survivor recap. This is my recap of the Survivor 41 premiere. So there's no theme this season, and if I were to give it a theme, I would definitely call it Survivor Risk. So the teams are divided. If you didn't see my tribe division video, the blue tribe is Danny, Deshawn, Nasir, Erica, and Heather. Yellow is Evie, Liana, Tiffany, Voce, and Eric. And green is Ricard, JD, Brad, Jeannie, Sarah, and Chantal. First, right off the bat, everyone's, excited to be here. It's all like kumbaya and stuff. But they have to, first thing right off the bat, they have to find a paddle and they have to swim to a buoy and then get back and get their flint. And it's only going to be one tribe that gets flint, because usually, like, when somebody comes in second place, usually they'll get, like, not as much as the winner got, but, they'll still get something. But what I'm learning this season is that you need to come in first place and win, because second place, you're not safe. So right off the bat, blue team was ahead, but they got stuck. Apparently they forgot to unhook their boat from the back, and yellow could not find the extra paddle, and then the sixth paddle, and here it was up above, they didn't see it, so green won their flint. So you get to the green tribe, and Sarah's talking about how her grandmother died of COVID. Brad mentions how he's a cattle rancher, and his dad died a week before he came out in the show, and that's just freaking sad. JD, right off the bat, kind of puts a target on his back because, they're trying to make fire, they're trying to build a shelter, and he right away shows that he's can make fire. He said he's been practicing, which all in all is good, but now add the fact that there's a fire challenge at the final for tribal council, that might put a target on his back, because if he's that good at making fire, people aren't going to want to go with him to the end. So, one new thing, I don't know if they're going to do this every episode, but to get flint, the yellow and blue tribe had to either do a sway or a savvy. And the savvy was a visual riddle. So basically the team would have to count triangles, count how many triangles there were in this picture, and they'd have 4 hours to do it. Whereas sway, you have 2 tribe members that go back and forth to the water and fill it up, and they have 4 hours. And interesting enough, the tribes, they both chose to have 2 people go get water. And Voce was pretty pissed at this. He was like, why in the world wouldn't we do the triangle challenge, because there's how many of us here? Why on earth would you want to do that? And I'm looking at it like this. If somebody up and volunteers to say, hey, I'll go do this, let them go do it, because then if they lose the challenge, then that's on them. They made the choice, and they have to assume the responsibility of that choice if they happen to lose. So it's Xander and Voce that volunteer on the yellow tribe, and it's Danny and JD on the blue tribe, and both of them complete the challenge. So now they get an extra vote at any time at tribal council. So you get back to the green tribe, and Jeannie's talking about how she has a wife, and how she comes from a traditional family, and she thought that she wasn't going to be accepted, but turns out she is. And Ricard is talking about his partner, and how he has a daughter at home, and I'm not a parent myself, but that's going to be like extremely hard to leave your kids out there. The Blue Tribe, while Danny and JD were working together, they went off to look for an idol, and that is rookie mistake number one. I mean, I've never played Survivor, but I've been watching Survivor for many seasons to know that you do not go look for an idol day one, because that puts a target on your back. And Nasir catches them, and he tells everyone that he saw them trying to find an idol. And I think he's trying to gain loyalty, and I get that. So he wanted to find, he said, why doesn't the final four just be him, Heather, Erica, and Sydney? Which all in all would make sense. I mean, they'd be in the majority, so just get one of them off. On Yellow, it seems that Evie and Liana are vibing, and they think that Xander and Voce are going to be a team, so they're thinking maybe, let's work with them and then have the other two on the outs. Let me see here, my notes. Then Abraham was throwing Tiffany's name out there because he says that when it was back in the boat challenge, she got off the boat first. And that's true, but Tiffany got off the boat to catch the paddles and count how many they had left, when Abraham's trying to paint the picture that Tiffany didn't do anything, when that's not the case. So Leanna told Tiffany what's going on, so now them two are after each other. So the Green Tribe, JD's definitely out there going strong. He is already playing the game hard, and he's already strategizing, and Ricard wants JD gone. And on the Blue Tribe, let me see here. So the next thing that I'm wondering if it's going to happen every time, which will be very interesting. So they get a piece of mail that says one person from each tribe must go, and they don't know basically any much from there. And this is always risky, because if somebody goes off by themselves, you have the tribe back at camp that's strategizing, and it might be an easy vote. If that tribe loses, say, well, let's just get them off. So Danny chooses to go for blue, Xander decides to go for yellow, and JD decides to go for green. And basically, it's a summit, and they're told to walk up this hill and, basically get to know each other. And I'm thinking, this is too easy. There's got to be something to this. So there's this thing called a risk your vote or protect your vote. And it's a lot of information, and I will probably miss some of it. So comment down below if I get it wrong or miss anything. So here's how it works. The risk your vote, you can, if you risk, you lose a vote. And if they all, if there's a split decision between them, like basically they all have to come to an agreement. And if there's a split decision, the two who risk their vote will get an extra vote. No, I think it's the other way around. Wait, no, risk their vote. They get to get an extra vote. So protect your vote. Yeah, it's so complicated. I'm so sorry. And usually when people go back, they usually sometimes make up what happened. Danny tells the truth what happened. Xander tells the truth and says he actually risked it for the tribe, so that way they can get an extra vote for whenever. So that basically answered my own confusion question. And JD, it seemed like he protected his vote, but when you get to tribal later, you learn he actually risked his vote. And Ricard doesn't believe anything that JD's saying, and rightfully so, because even though all of them did tell the truth, you got to be skeptical in some way when they come back from it, because you haven't been there yourself, so how do you know what they're saying is true or false? So the immunity challenge, they have to, it's, again, like I mentioned before, usually if first and second you'd each get immunity, well, now it's only 26 days now, so it's going to be very fast paced. So now if you come in second and third, you're going to tribal council. So normally for the premiere, there'd be 2 people off anyway. And now what I'm thinking is going to happen is that 2 people are going to be voted off every episode. The twist is they have a shot in the dark, and I kind of like this. It's a dice that if you feel like that you're in trouble, you have a 1 in 6 shot of, I'm going to assume it's you get immunity from that vote. Like, it counts as like an immunity idol, even though it's clearly not. And it does make it interesting. My only question is, because everybody got one. Everybody knows everybody has one. My question is, can you only play that once? Because that would make it even more interesting if you could only play that once. Because you have to really, really, be very calculated about how you use it. If you can, because thinking about it, one could play it every tribal if they wanted to, but you also can't vote, I believe. And if you also lose, there's a consequence. So the people who lose will have to give up their flint. So you have the immunity challenge. You have to go over a net, and then they have to dig through these hurdles, and then they have to get these puzzles on a rack and then push it up and then solve a puzzle. And Blue ends up winning the challenge. And it's really saying something because they were far behind, and they actually had to go back at one point because one of their bags wasn't clearly on the platform. So that leaves... So it was actually interesting because Green had a very good shot at winning, but they left one of the puzzles in the bag, and that probably was the determining factor. So at Yellow, Evie is crying and thinking she's on the outs, and Leanna and Tiffany are really pushing to get Abraham out. Abraham wants to get Tiffany out, and so it's basically either going to be like Tiffany or Abraham tonight. At Green, Sarah thinks it might be her, and Ricard, as I mentioned before, wants JD gone. And very bold of Brad to mention that he wants Sarah or Chantal gone, but Ricard said to Brad, don't be afraid to give your opinion, and he gave his opinion, and they're like, I can't believe he just said that. And Brad said to JD that they want him gone, so... But also, again, you have to take some responsibility at the puzzle, because Sarah and Chantal did say they would do the puzzle, so you have to accept some responsibility if you step up to that. And it was actually a good point that Jeff made, like, preseason, like, what would you do situation. Like, if you know that you're not physically fit and you're not going to contribute to the team, then you have to do the puzzle, because you're not just going to sit on your ass the whole time. So it's very interesting. But then, again, you have to take the responsibility if you lose. However, if your team's already behind to begin with, you can't take the responsibility for that, because that's somebody back there's fault. So Yellow is first at Tribal Council, and Tiffany's, saying how they get along well, and I think all the tribes seem to be getting along well. I don't think there's, like, enemies out there yet. I mean, keep in mind, it's only the first episode. And Abraham's saying that strength is important going forward, and that kind of sends red flags to Tiffany. And it ends up being Abraham that's the first person going home, and I'm not really surprised. I mean, when there's conflict like that in the first episode, usually it's either one or the other that's going to go home. And it was either going to be Abraham, for throwing names out there already, or it's going to be Tiffany. Usually, like, the older cast members, unfortunately, get voted off first. Green goes to tribal, and like they said, it's all chill and everything there. It actually got interesting because Ricard actually says to JD, like actually gets up, it turned into a live tribal council, which I love them. I know some people don't like them, but I love them. Said to get rid of Brad, and it's like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And it ends up being Sarah that goes home, and I was shocked. Sarah's in a lot of my drafts that I'm in. And yeah, so I'm kind of screwed this season because I picked Sarah. So yeah, very interesting. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season and seeing what it's going to happen next. This is definitely a new era of Survivor. There's a lot of content this episode. Comment down below what your thoughts were about this episode, this season, and everything. Everything's changing. I think one of the big changes this episode is that when Jeff announces the immunity challenge, he says, come on in, guys. And he openly asked people up front, like, are you okay with me saying this? And they all say, yeah, we're fine. And then Ricard actually says, I'm actually not okay with this. So now from now on, Jeff is going to say, come on in. And people are so ticked about it. I'm like, why? What's the difference if he says, come on in or come on in, guys? You know what I mean? But I like that they're being considerate about other people now, like that Survivor's being considerate of other people and their differences. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see the evolution of Survivor. It's an ever-evolving, ever-changing, and ever-beautiful social game. I hope you guys enjoyed the season premiere of Survivor. And until next time, stay regal.